Leaping from the sewers of Derry, Maine, right into our nightmares, Pennywise the Dancing Clown reigns supreme as everyone's favorite child-devouring monster. From his paperback origins to his current romantic relationship with the Babadook, the public just can't seem to get enough of this fear-loving, shape-shifting little rascal. But how did he get to the top? Here's a history of Pennywise the Clown. Pennywise's story begins somewhere between 1841 and 1844 with authors that weren't actually an immortal Stephen King, but two Norwegian guys named Peter Christian Asbjornsen and Jørgen Moe. They're responsible for creating the just-for-kids horror story, The Three Billy Goats Gruff. You know the story. Three wily billy goats have to outwit a troll annoyed by their incessant trip-trapping upon his wooden bridge. It's a total pre-nap time classic. Now, Stephen King was reminded of that story in 1981 when he was doing his own trip-trapping across an old wooden bridge in Colorado. Only instead of a troll, he envisioned a child-devouring clown, and instead of a bridge, a sewer, so those are worse. Now, Stephen King had been essentially America's boogeyman for several years at that point, so he wanted to write what he thought of as his ultimate thesis on famous monsters, with a shape-shifting entity in the middle that would allow him to bring back every monster that had ever scared him as a kid. Thus, Pennywise the Clown was born as the main form of It, because according to King, all kids are afraid of clowns, which is true. Okay, mild spoilers from now on. In the book, Pennywise, who also goes by the name Bob Gray, is described as looking like a cross between Clarabelle the Clown from Howdy Doody and Ronald McDonald. He takes the form of amongst other things, Frankenstein's monster, a leper, a mummy, the teenage werewolf, Rodan, a vampire, the creature from the Black Lagoon, the shark from Jaws, and, in one of his not-so-inspired moments, a giant crawling eyeball. These monsters were a natural fit for the time period that the book takes place in, the 1950s through the 1980s. Despite the dated hokiness of some of these monsters, the novel is just super dark, brutally violent, and cosmically bizarre. King also nabbed some of it from real life. Throughout the novel, he weaves in historical interludes about Derry's dark past, which he lifted from the actual history of Bangor, Maine, a town famous for its blueberry pies, a tacky plastic statue of Paul Bunyan, and of course, being the location of Stephen King's house. Following the book's release, references to Pennywise or the characters from It have popped up in the Stephen King multiverse, including The Tommyknockers, where a character traveling through Derry sees a clown in an open manhole, and Dreamcatcher, where a Derry landmark is vandalized with the spray-painted words, "Pennywise lives." Now, It, like other Stephen King yarns, was a runaway bestseller at the time of its release.
It's not that much yet, but I guess it could get there. Gross huge amounts of money, yeah.
Making some form of an adaptation essentially inevitable. But how do you cram a 1,100-page book that spans 30 years, multiple characters, exceptionally dark murders, all kinds of creepy crawlers, and even, okay, stay with me here, scenes that take place in outer space featuring a cosmically enormous turtle that vomits universes? How do you take all of that and you put it into a movie? The answer is simple. You do it with the most permissive and flexible format of all time, the TV miniseries.
Although produced for television, It is based on subject material that may be unsuitable for and unsettling to younger and impressionable viewers. Parental guidance and viewer discretion is recommended.
Aren't you going to say hello?
The release of 1990's It traumatized an entire generation of children. Simply put, they would never go anywhere near a bathroom ever again.
Here I am, Wheezy.
The film, it ran over 2 nights on ABC, was watched by an estimated 30 million newly minted coulrophobes, making it a massive hit and vaulting Pennywise into the pop culture zeitgeist.
Swear to me that if it isn't dead, it will come back.
Pennywise is played in the TV movie by Dr. Frankenfurter himself, Tim Curry. His minimalist look in the film was born out of the fact that Mr. Curry had just finished a stint playing another subterranean being, Satan. And he was kind of sick of having nasty prosthetics glued to his face all day, which, to be fair, doesn't really explain this GIF-worthy moment.
Please, God.
They all flow down here.
The other source of inspiration for Pennywise's look in the film, that'd be one of the all-time classic movie monsters, Lon Chaney's version of Phantom of the Opera. The TV movie also retained the 1950s-1980s timeline, assuring that Pennywise would show up as classic movie monsters like the Mummy, the Teenage Werewolf, and the spookiest monster of all time, a skeleton. His penchant for surprising people with blood is also on full display, as well as his lackluster career as a Catskills stand-up comedian.
Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out.
Now, that wasn't the only time that Pennywise appeared in a television series. In 1998, Hindi-language channel ZTV produced a series called Whoa! Of course, the cultural impact of Pennywise has extended far beyond these adaptations. He's been parodied.
Oh, yeah!
He's been memeified. He's even provided the namesake for many a mall punk's favorite band to listen to while they're shredding a sweet sesh out in the cul-de-sac. Which all leads us to the most current version of America's favorite dancing clown, played by a son of a Skarsgård.
Beep, beep, Richie.
This version of Pennywise is much more feral and alien-like than his previous incarnations, but he still shares the thing that's always been the hallmark of the character: a beautiful set of chompers. So, to recap, Pennywise, or It, awakens every 27 years in the small Maine town of Derry, home to, among other things, a tacky plastic statue of Paul Bunyan. Each awakening and subsequent hibernation is marked by a horrific event in the town's history, like the explosion of an ironworks factory on Easter that led to this gruesome moment. Pennywise is almost always involved in these events in some capacity.
The Bradley Gang in 35, and the Black Spot in 62.
In the case of his 1988 awakening, it's the death by disarmament of Georgie Denbrough, the younger brother of Stuttering Bill Denbrough, who subsequently becomes determined to avenge his brother's murder. He's got help in an assemblage of friends that slowly join together over the summer. There's hypochondriac Eddie Kasprak, straight-laced Stan Uris, and Richie Trashmouth Tozier.
Can only virgins see this stuff? Is that why I'm not seeing this shit?
Soon their gang expands into a lucky seven with the addition of the rebellious latchkey kid Beverly Marsh, sweetheart Ben Hanscom, and resourceful Mike Hanlon. Together they form the Losers Club, a group that holds some special power to battle Pennywise and make him feel the one thing he's never experienced before: fear. After their initial sewer-bound battle with Pennywise, where Richie Trashmouth lives up to his namesake,
And now, I'm gonna have to kill this fucking clown.
they all make a vow to return if they didn't actually manage to dispatch Pennywise from his immortal coil. Judging by the very existence of a Chapter 2, the losers have a job to do.
I'm gonna have to kill this fucking clown.
So there you have it, America's favorite killer clown in all his various shapes and forms. What will he do next?
I'll drive you crazy and I'll kill you all. I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.